Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're just going to do a quick walk around of the 32 Ford Model B. I've gotten a couple questions recently about my car and everything that's involved in it. Somebody asked the other day, what's the difference between a Model A and a Model B? Well, there's a lot of, without getting too technical, there's a lot of differences. Mainly in 1932, 1932 was the first year that they come out with the flathead Ford V8. So it was experimental, and Henry Ford was really pushing for the V8, but at the same time, it's a pretty smart decision. They redesigned the car from the Model A to the V18 for the V8, and then they did the Model B, which was pretty much the same flathead four-cylinder engine that they had in the Model A's, with just a few tweaks here and there. But the car was redesigned for 32, but they gave customers that were a little bit skeptical of the new V8 that they could still get the tried and true flathead four-cylinder. So therefore they made the Model B. Now this is a Model B. This car here was purchased by my grandmother's aunt back in 1932 in Mount Vernon, Ohio. She drove it for years, and then basically at the end of the car's life, or as it got older and just harder to maintain for her as she got older, she gave it to my grandfather. My grandfather acquired this car, best I can tell, going back through the title search and all that, 1952. So in 1952, they couldn't really give the car away to my grandfather, so she sold it to him for $1. So my grandpa got this car, and basically he just drove it. He fixed it and drove it, and he worked at a factory in my hometown in Ohio, and he drove it in a small town, just drove it back and forth to work for years, and then he finally restored it. Now as it's sitting today, this is my grandfather's restoration. This is all done in his garage and basement, and wherever he could stick a part and redo it, that's what he did. I have the original motor for the car. It does have a Model A engine in it now, but I do have the flathead four-cylinder Model B engine. It's been rebuilt, ready to put back into the car whenever this motor is tired out and needs replaced. But what they did with it is they took it on Model A tours and just drove it around and had fun with it. It has been converted to a 12-volt system from the original 6-volt, and just some other make it easier to drive amenities. But for the most part, it's not chopped, it's not been grossly modified or anything like that. It's kind of a true historical representation of what these cars were like back in 1932. So the main difference between the Model B and a Model A, if you were just seeing one on the road driving, the easiest way to tell the difference between an A and a B is the Model A's had their gas tanks up front, in front of the front windshield, with a gas cap. So if you see an old car, especially an old Ford like this, and you're wondering if what year is this, I can get it down to, it's either a Model A or a Model B. If you see this gas cap, it's a Model A. And 32, and other than the V8, what they did is the first year that they actually put the gas tank towards the back of the car. So if you look here, the gas tank is back here, kind of like what we do today in the rear of the car. It's not the original gas cap. That blocks for traveling or doing whatever to keep everything out of it. But as you can see up here, where the gas tank used to be on a Model A, we have a vent, and I'll raise it up so you can see it. That is 1932 air conditioning. So as we walk around the car here, of course, this is added on turn signals, but original headlights, they're stamped forward. You got your Quail radiator cap. This is all original fenders, steel engine. I take for granted this is not a show car. This is a running car. So here's your fuel pump. This is what pumps your gas from the back to your carburetor. Got your exhaust manifold. This is not original either. This has been updated, but your spark plugs, exhaust, radiator, fan. Alternator is on the other side. Like I said, it's been converted to a 12 volt. But yeah, pretty simple. But yet, still working. Of course, this car, no power brakes. They're manual brakes, drum. The rod, just push on it. It stops about like the Flintstones. You got to be very careful when you're driving this. Brakes don't stop you very well. Let's see. No power steering, no heat, no air. Pretty simple. As you'll notice, it has a CB radio in it. My grandparents used the CB when they were in a Model A club, when they would travel around. That's how, before cell phones, they would talk to each other. If somebody had car trouble or anything like that, they would holler at each other on the CB, and everybody'd pull off the side of the road, and everybody had spare parts, and they fixed whoever was broken down, and they kept going. So to me, this is more of a sentimental thing for me, so I'm just leaving it in there. I like it. It brings back good memories. I remember them talking on it when we'd go with trips when we were kids. We'd ride in the back, and Grandma and Grandpa would sit up front, and we'd go for trips, and they would laugh. They'd be talking to each other and doing things and stuff like that. But this car, I don't know quite when he restored it for sure, but it was back. This has been this way for as long as I can remember, and I've actually got a picture of myself standing on this running board when I was 5 years old. So it's been probably late 60s, early 70s this car was redone. My grandmother helped my grandfather with the interior. This is all period correct material in the car. Floors, the paint, not the original color, but it is period correct Ford color. I forget the name of it. Steering wheel, it's a 3-speed, first, second, third, reverse. This chrome rod right there, that is your emergency brake. And of course, you got your gas pedal, you got your foot peg, gas pedal, brake, and clutch. The windshield wipers do work. They run off the engine vacuum, but everything works. My grandpa did install an electric fuel pump to kind of prime the car because it sits for long periods of time. But everything works like it should. The frame, most of it is sheet metal, basically a wood frame. The cab wrapped in sheet metal. The wood, I know for a fact, is all original, 1932. That was one of his things when made him kind of restore it. The car was kind of deteriorating and the wood was being exposed, and that's when he just made the decision to do the restoration to save the wood and save the car. So growing up, I got to ride around in this a lot. I drove it in parades, high school proms. This was even at our wedding. This is what me and my wife drove off in for our wedding, and that was 1999. So very sentimental car. Tube tires, the old spoke wheels, old Ford chrome hubcaps. Just pretty neat old car. Not perfect, not a show car. They drove it around and they used it. So that's what I'm doing with it currently. I like taking little trips in it, driving it around. And you don't see this very often, but you know, your license plate that actually was registered to the car. It's got its little bumps and bruises, but for the most part, it's intact. Good to go. Anyway, it's been a while since I've done a video. I wanted to get the car out. Got to show you guys. I've gotten a lot of questions, which I appreciate. Gives me ideas for videos, what you guys want to see. And so I thought I'd get it out. It's kind of a wet, dreary, cold day here, so I don't want to get it out on the road. The roads are wet. I don't like getting it out in the rain and driving it when it's wet. But I could get it out here in the driveway, just kind of do a quick video, walk around, and show you guys this 32 Ford Model B. So hopefully here in the next week or two we'll be able to get the car out, do some more driving videos. Again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.